Okay, folks, so this is once again John Edmonds, New Jersey News. Walking towards the Parsippany Hills High School where a Black Lives Matter movement is undergoing. How you doing? I'm sorry? You have a few words you want to say about what's going on?
Well, that's some photos for us. Videos of us.
Yeah, sure. Oh, wow, okay. It's quite a crowd. All right, so folks, now you can see the Black Lives Matter movement moving in the distance. I'm going to frame up the other camera here so get a nice shot for you. There is a large crowd approaching here, as you can see. Some of the seniors here at the Vale Manor have actually come out to see this. And you can see some here. Police actually just asked them to step back because the crowd is that massive. Here's the police officers who are leading the protest. We're going to move in for a closer shot.
Parsippany or Morris County?
Well, shutting it down is a little radical, but the reality is that my black brothers have been feeling oppression for centuries of years. So if they don't get it, shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down.
Money for schools, not police. Money for housing, not police. Money for schools, not police. Money for housing, not police. Money for schools, not police. Money for housing, not police. Money for schools, not police. Money for housing, not police. Money for schools, not police. Money for housing, not police. Money for schools, not police. Money for housing, not police. Money for schools, not police. Money for housing, not police. Whose street? Our street. Whose town? Our town. Whose street? Our street. Whose town? Our town. Whose street? Our street. Our street. Our town. Say his name. George Floyd. 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 The people united will never be defeated. 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 No justice! No peace! 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 No racist! Police! 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 No justice!
Police are leading the way here
Police!
toward Route 46. to walk backwards. Again, for you folks just tuning in, this is in Parsippany, New Jersey, Morris County. Homeowners are watching from their windows here. How many people would you say estimate arrived at this today?
I can't even give you a
Oh, wow.
It stretches really far back.
You think over 1,000? Wow, thank you. Wow, look at the size of this line. I can't even see the end of it. And for context, we're here in
No racist.
Parsippany, New Jersey, Morris County.
Justice. No peace. No racist. No peace. No 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 justice. No peace. No racist. No peace.
Parsippany police are still advancing here, heading the line. But if you look down there, folks, unfortunately this stream can't zoom in, but the camera below can zoom in, and you could just see, as far as the eye could see, protesters and signage. It's truly a shot like none other.
We gon' be alright. 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 We gon' be alright.
Again, folks, if you're just tuning in, there's an estimated 1,000 folks at this event here in Parsippany, New Jersey. Folks, we're going to be crossing Route 46 in just a moment. Has been diverted off of Route 46 as the whole lane has been shut down. Again, this is the venue you just saw before here at Veterans Park, Parsippany, New Jersey. I'm trying to get a better establishing shot. You're going this way? Oh, thank you. All right, folks, so now we've entered the Great Lawn here at Veterans Park. Folks, you can see over there, the crowd is still coming in. There's some folks here already welcoming them.
No racist! Police! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No racist! Police! No racist! Police! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No racist! Police! Hands up!
How you doing, Frank?
Don't shoot! Hands up! 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 Don't shoot! Say his name! George Floyd! 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 Say his name!
For the folks who are just tuning in, the entire marching of the protest, they're still coming into the park. This is not at capacity yet.
Folks, can you hear me? It is now 6:57. We are going to start at about 7 p.m. I'm just doing a time check and a people check. I want to make sure Can you hear me in the back? Can you hear me in the back?
Can you hear me in the back?
Okay, I want to make sure that everyone can hear Tiana. Way in the back. Way in the back. No? I want it to be low because not everybody is so proud of mine.
Tiana sure is.
Not everyone has a loud voice like I do or like Tiana does. So I want to make sure that you can hear everyone. I want to make sure that you are safe, that you have a space. Okay? Does everyone have a seat? I still see people walking, so everyone does not have a seat yet. We are here for Black Lives, and we are here all together. So until everybody is here, we are not going to start. You will see some marshals, people with yellow vests. They are going to direct you to open spaces. As you can see and you can hear, you will be able to hear us. This fist in the air means be quiet so that you can hear. So everybody show me your fist in the air. Those of you standing, come close to the front. There are spaces to sit to my left. So come there, your right, my left, come toward the front. There are spaces. My son Elijah is waving his hand in the yellow vest. Go toward the folks with the yellow vest. There are spaces toward the front. Fill in the spaces. The folks that are going to speak today are folks you want to hear. You don't want to hear me. So the quicker that you get a spot and you sit, the quicker we can hear who we really came to listen to today. As you can see, there are still people walking here. Because today, at least today, Black Lives Matter here. So let all these folks who recognize that find a spot.
Black Lives Matter every day.
That's why we're here to make Black Lives Matter every day. But Black lives don't matter every day here in Parsippany. Because the Parsippany School District didn't want us to park in their lot. So Black Lives Matter. Take it out this year. So today, we are going to make sure that Black Lives Matter here today and from this day forward. I think most of you have a spot. Okay.
How y'all feeling? I need to do that again. How y'all feeling? What you're witnessing right now is something incredible. Something that's never been done here at Parsippany. Something that's been overlooked for years. For hundreds of years, for centuries. But we're here bringing awareness to it right now. So I need everyone to do right now is put your fist up for me real quick. And I'm going to say fist up, you're going to say guns down. Fist up! Guns down! Fist up! Guns down! Fist up! Guns down! Fist up! Guns down! Woo! I love it. I love the energy. I need to keep that up all night. We have a lot of great speakers. Sorry. We have some great speakers that are here to kind of inform some people, bring some more awareness, and to kind of let out some of that frustration that a lot of us been living with for a number of years. So without further ado, the first person up is Reverend Samuel.
Cindy.
Oh, sorry, Cindy Williams. I apologize. Cindy Williams.
Right, Pastor?
Today we gather because of something that happened in Minneapolis. As Carol alluded to, things happen right here in Morris County every day.
Yes.
People are being overcharged for simple crimes, non-violent crimes, and forced into state prison. And so while people keep offering their thoughts and prayers and saying they want peace and they don't want property destroyed, but they destroy lives every day without mercy, without forgiveness, without grace. But what makes me really excited today as I stand here before you is that while the church has been silent and other pastors were invited to come and they were too afraid to come and speak to the people are speaking and the people are shouting and the people are making their voices heard. And I hope every pastor in Morris County, I hope every church in Morris County keeps the doors closed until they fight for peace, until they fight for justice. We have a president who stands in front of churches and opens a Bible that he never reads and that he doesn't live, and he says he's a Christian, but he's not. The blood of so many innocent people is still crying from the ground. And I'm glad we're coming out today, but I want this energy to keep going because there are people sitting in Morris County Jail right now and they are waiting for trial and sitting in jail cells of people with COVID-19 and they're not being cared for, they're not being addressed. The governor said, let people out until their trial. They're innocent until proven guilty, I thought. But yet we still have people sitting in jail. There are young people we're fighting for even as we speak right now. One young man, I won't say his name without permission from the family, but he's sitting there with a marijuana card in his possession because he's allowed to carry it, but yet he's been locked up for possessing marijuana, and now they're trying to force him into state prison because it's a mandate, because you arrested him 3 times, and even though he has a medical card, and that's justice? No, that's not justice. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. We have black and brown people who have addiction problems, and when it was crack, it was a violent problem. It was a war on drugs. But now it's a health epidemic. Some people get stuck on drugs and they get a chance to get rehab. Other people go to state prison. And now we want to sell marijuana legally, and people are still sitting in prison for possessing marijuana. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. I was asked to pray today, but to be honest with you, I'm so tired of thoughts and prayers. The Bible says in Amos that I'm sick and tired of your assemblies. I'm sick and tired of your worship. If justice doesn't roll like living water, stay home. Don't go to church. I don't want to hear your prayers. I don't want to hear your thoughts. I need you to live justice. The Bible says he gives us a peace that surpasses all understanding. Peace doesn't mean be quiet while you put your knee on my neck. That's not peace. Peace doesn't mean I sit home and you get away with what you do. That's not peace. Peace is not when you put judges in place who don't understand mercy or justice. That's not the kind of peace that the Bible calls for. I've been watching social media for a while now since this all started. And I'm sure there's some people listening and watching that don't understand this. But I gotta tell you, this makes my heart proud because I got 4 children who we brought into a world who are asking me, Dad, why so much pain? Why is this still happening? I have a daughter in the Naval Academy who is literally afraid of police officers. Yet she's putting her life on the line to defend the freedom for a country where she's gotta be afraid. If she's not in uniform, she's fearful for her life. No justice?
No peace.
No justice?
No peace.
I've got a black boy, 13 years old, and I'm concerned, and he's concerned that if he goes outside, that his life could end. That's a problem. That's a real problem. I've got teachers in the school system that told my son, clearly you have no black male role model in your house. You don't even know my son, and I think I'm a pretty good black male role model. I'm going to be obedient, and I'm going to pray, but the prayer is not for you because you're doing what God has already asked you to do. The prayer is for governors and judges and mayors and police officers and police chiefs and prosecutors. And I want to remind every law enforcement officer that's listening, every prosecutor that's listening, every judge that's listening, every governor that's listening, every leader that's listening, there is a judge who sits high and looks low, and there's a hell waiting for you if you don't understand justice and mercy. There's a hell waiting for you. And if you don't believe me, the Bible says how you judge others is how you will be judged. The mercy you give others, that's the mercy you will receive. So if you're listening, hear me now. There is a God waiting for you. There's a God waiting, I believe, for the President of the United States who has a judgment waiting for him. Don't play with God because God is not to be played with. There is hell to pay for the pain and the suffering that people are experiencing, and God is not a God that should be mocked. Don't stand in front of a church with a Bible in your hand while you're putting tear gas on innocent people. Our president's time is up. Time up. Vote in November. His time is up. Let us pray. God our Father, we thank you. God our Creator, we thank you. God our righteous Judge, we thank you. God, we know you hear the cries of those who've been killed innocently. God, I know you still hear the cries of Sandra Bland. I know you still hear the cries of Trayvon Martin. I know you still hear the cries of George Floyd. I know you hear the cries of so many innocent blood that have been killed. And then there's still blood whose names we will never know, who were born into slavery and killed trying to get freedom, and they were worried about property. God, I know you hear the cries of Nat Turner and those who tried to fight back. God, I know you hear the cries of our prophet, of Dr. King, who came non-violently, was still struck down and killed. God, I know you hear the cries of Medgar Evers. God, I know you hear the cries of Malcolm X. God, I know you hear our cries. I know you hear the cries of Freddie Lou Hammer. And God, we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Let justice roll. Let freedom ring. Let it roll. Let it roll. Let it ring. Let it ring. Let it ring. Let it ring. In Jesus' name.
Hey, give it up one time for Pastor Sidney Williams. Thank you. Appreciate you, sir. Appreciate that message, man. Next person up, we got a good... Keep going, I'm sorry. Next person up, we got a good friend of mine. We went to high school together. I'll stand this way. We went to high school together. He called me about 3 days ago, mentioned how disturbed he was over the video that we all witnessed, the lynching that we all witnessed. And he knew that he wanted to make a difference. He said, Jabari, we got to do something. We got to do something here. It's not about just what happens in Minnesota. It's what happens all over the country. And we have to bring awareness to it right now. So I'm going to introduce Mr. Maurice.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to let you know right now, I'm losing my voice. I apologize, and I am not going to say much because I am not a public speaker at any capacity. All right, so. We are here today. First of all, thank you all for being here. I had no idea that this would become so big. I had no idea that so many people cared. I had no idea. All of the beautiful people, black, white, yellow, red, so much. Thank you so much. All right, we're here because the police are treating us like garbage. They do not see us as people. They do not see us as people. All right. I cannot stand to do nothing. This is why we're all here today. I cannot stand to see that nothing's going on in the suburbs where I'm from. Okay? Thank you for being here, because this makes it clear to me that even in the suburbs, and not just the cities, not just the ghettos, that people can come together and they can do something, anything to make a difference. Anything. I appreciate all of you. That cop that casually kneeled down on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and waited for him to take his last breath, and we all had to watch that. That ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna fly. I'm sorry. I cannot do nothing after seeing that. I cannot do nothing after seeing that. In the privacy of my own home, I wake up in the morning in tears, clutching my own body because my father has to worry about me. Just walking down the street, going for the runs, traversing the land in my car. I can't even go on a drive without my father worrying about me. And I know my mother, my sister, my whole family, even my brother-in-law right there, they care about me too. Even if I don't feel it, guys, I love you. I do. And I love all of you. All right, listen. I have not much to say. This is it. I just wanted to vent this anger that has been boiling inside me for so long. And I know it's not me. It's not just me. It's everybody. It has to be. Because if it's not, what the hell are we doing here? Okay, guys. Well, I don't know who the next speaker is. Is it Ali? Thank you, everybody.
Give it up for Maurice. Give it up for Maurice. I'm not gonna lie, when we talked about doing this about literally 48 hours ago, I did not imagine it would be the turnout that we're having right now. And this just goes to show you how much the community is behind these black and brown kids and everything that's kind of going wrong with our justice system. And I just want to say I appreciate every single one of you right now, because Parsippany, being probably one of the most diverse towns in the country, and I'm very thankful for it. We got a little bit of everything in here, right? We got a little bit of everything in here, right? But you know what you're doing? You're supporting me as a black and brown African American male. You're supporting the little kids that run through Rockaway Middle School. You're supporting the little kids through Central. You're supporting the kids through the high school. Right now, we're going to bring up another great guest speaker, Mr. Pastor Perez.
I am a father to 4 children. My eldest is 9, my youngest is 4. And I come to this reality after 36 years of life. I've been asking myself for a long time, what is the greatest opportunity in this country according to the system, depending on your sex, meaning your gender, the color of your skin, and your sexual orientation? And the answer is, unfortunately, a white male, a straight white male. I ask myself the same question, but the opposite way. I ask myself, in this country right now, as the system is the way it is, what is the worst case scenario according to your gender, your sexual orientation, your color skin? And that would be a black transvestite that looks like a woman. And that is the reality of this country right now. I show my kids a little clip of this because I had to tell them, don't you ever, ever allow this to happen and not say a word.
That's right.
You are to speak up. You are to say something. I come from a background. My father was a homeless man who came to Cuba. My mom was undocumented. I am here because of their sacrifices. And you know what? Use your voice. I will never forget my last class of seminary. So the professor said, everybody close your eyes. And then she said, I want you to tell me what is the gender and the color scheme when I say this one word. And please don't hold back. What is in your subconscious? What have you been brainwashed? What have they been putting in social media, everything that you've been watching? And when she said a criminal, everybody said a black male.
Yes, that's all I see.
That is the world we live in. That is our reality. And you know what? It's time for us. We can't be silent anymore. You can't go on the sideline. You see what we're doing here and now. You see, we live in 3D world. You see, this is the physical, the five senses. But there's something about our words that give life or our words that give death. And we're here right now giving light energy. Okay? What you're doing right now is saying to our whole nation, the nation wants to do, the town wants to do. I'm sorry, we don't tolerate this kind of behavior. How dare you do something like that? That is a child of God. That is someone's child. That is someone's baby. And so I challenge all of you. Next time you see some injustice, some prejudice, something you see, this is the thing. Our words and actions should never do harm. When you see our action or words that does harm, you need to say that's not right. Even if you're standing alone. Because those are the things that make change in this world. I have kids. I speak for my 3 boys and my daughter. So you're making a difference today. And that's why you gotta go vote. The census. Keep marching. Don't stop. And so I'll leave you with this. The brother man here sent me, he prayed for us. So I'm not going to pray. I'm going to just do a freestyle for you. I see all my wonderful children. In this world we have like 7 billion. I want us to be good people. When you see it, you better say, stop that evil. Don't just sit in your chair, because life is not fair. You just give them a glare and you show the love. I'm telling you right now, Holy Spirit came down like a dove. The Spirit is right here. I should not fear to speak the truth, especially to the youth. No violence, please do not knock each other's tooth. You could be Superman, come out the booth and speak and say, you better stop that. Matter of fact, I'm coming here with my fitted hat. I love to rap. And I'm telling you right now, keep doing that love, because that is all that. Speaking with your heart. Tell those that in your heart is dark, and then it puts into pieces. I thank the day my mama told me about Jesus.
That's Perez, everyone. That's Perez. Our next speaker is an advocate of Black Lives Matter movement over there in Morristown. A good friend of mine now. We are now brothers. Mr. Ali. Give it up for him. Give it up for him. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. I just want to echo what's already been said by everyone today. I first just wanted to introduce Black Lives Matter Morristown. We got started 4 years ago after 4th of July weekend when Alton Sterling and Fernando Castillo were shot on back-to-back days. Something came over Tiana that test 1 2 3 test 1 2 3 test. All right, listen. Can you hear me now? Is that better? Can you hear me now? Black Lives Matter Morristown started in 2016 after back-to-back murders of Fernando Castillo and Alton Sterling. 4th of July. The sacrifices, personal sacrifices I made to fit into my school and make sure that the people around me were comfortable. You know, while I got to watch my classmates wear Echo, Rockaway, fitted caps, all this. You know, and to grow up now as a 31-year-old man and seeing lives being extinguished on TV with not even a hint of regard for human life or empathy is so deflating, man.
You know, to see a turnout like this brings it all back, and it really shows the love here. So thank you for showing your support for Black people in this community. You know, last Saturday, Larry Hand came and spoke to us about how New Jersey was one of the last states in the Union to let go of slavery. And we are a place that really needs to, in Morris County especially, 500,000 people in Morris County, less than 5% Black, right? We need the support of our white allies. We need you to speak up, we need you to be vocal, and when you see wrong, we need you to call it out. Last thing I'll say is this. I recently met most of the people who organized this event, and I couldn't be more grateful to be in touch with these people. This is just the beginning, all right? We need to keep this momentum going. We got plans for the future.
That's right.
It's a long ways until November, so we got to get started like right now. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Ali. Appreciate you, guys. All right, so the next speaker is actually reading off an essay that was written by a Parsippany High School student. That student's name will not be, given out for obviously purposes because she's not old enough. So without further ado, we have another high school student reading off an essay. All right, thank you.
Hi everyone. This was written by one of my friends. He's actually goes to Parsippany. Sorry, I'll be louder. All right. That's it? It's good. Thank you.
No louder.
All right. Got it. All right. This is Let Us. It's written by one of my really good friends. Gregory McMichael, Travis McMichael, George Zimmerman, Louisville Police, and the Minneapolis Police. Should I continue naming the white men and organizations who have killed our African American brothers and sisters? Should I even say their names? These are the men who have committed hate crimes against Black people who have done nothing wrong. Ahmaud Arbery, shot and killed by father and son for going on a jog. 17-year-old Trayvon Martin, shot and killed for wearing a hoodie while holding a bag of Skittles and Arizona iced tea. Breonna Taylor, killed by Louisville police after being shot even before their arrival. And the most recent, George Floyd, publicly suffocated by a Minneapolis officer kneeling on his neck while he lay face down on the floor, crying for his mama. When will America stop killing people for the color of their skin? When will the suffering from the stereotypes that exist in today's society go away and allow us to live in peace? The color of your skin should not allow anyone to treat you differently. It's disgusting. White privilege is real. It's here today and it rules over our society. White privilege doesn't mean your life hasn't been hard. It means your skin color is something that makes it easier to live and walk freely. When being white, you are likely to be in a position of higher power compared to other races. You're more likely to be given a job easily when going for an interview. You are treated as the superior race in our society. Let's take a look at the San Francisco 49ers quarterback, Colin Kaepernick, a Black man who took a knee during the national anthem in memory of those who have lost in police brutality. I'm sure you've seen this picture, a picture of Kaepernick kneeling on the football field as the Star-Spangled Banner was sung, right next to the picture of Derek Chauvin, who choked Floyd to death while keeping his left knee on his neck. It's debatable whether it's appropriate to take a knee during America's national anthem, but are we wrong if we say that African Americans were amongst those who resisted back then and have died for this country? Is it wrong to say that African Americans are people too? As someone once said, you don't know how someone else feels until you've walked in their shoes. None of us can imagine what Trayvon Martin's mother must have felt like after realizing her son was shot, trying to get himself a snack. We cannot begin to imagine what it must have been like to be Ahmaud, shot, slowly dying in the middle of the street. We cannot imagine being shot in the stomach first, killed by police. The people who are supposed to protect you, minutes later. We cannot imagine what it must feel like, laying face down on the ground with the force of 200 pounds being pushed against us, our arms cramping because they have been pulled behind our back. It's it's true that not all law enforcement are like this, we need to show that these actions are unacceptable. Murder is murder. There is no changing that. Thankfully, I was raised to have a voice. I'm Muslim. I was raised by an immigrant mother who came to America in 1999. I was raised by a strong, hard-working father who was born and raised here as well. For my mother and all immigrants, it would have been impossible for them to come here if there was no civil rights movement. This is one of the many reasons we stand with the Black Lives Matter movement, no matter what. Being Muslim has shown me the difficulty of being accepted in society. My family has had the first-hand experience of religious discrimination embedded in our country after the horrific events of September 11, 2001. I'm not saying that all white people are racist, but being Muslim has shown me the difficulty of being accepted in society because of what I've seen people like us go through. I'm thankful to God for being born in a safe environment. I haven't experienced the discrimination that most Muslims in America go through. But just because I haven't experienced it doesn't mean that it's gone unnoticed. I've seen people like me, Muslims of all races, Black Muslims, converts, reverts, Hispanic Muslims, and many more be treated terribly because of their race. And it makes me realize that my voice can make a difference. What more can be said about this topic now? It's clearly racism and hatred in its purest form. Saying things isn't enough. We watched Black men and women die in recent months. Hate crimes continue to grow. We must demand justice. We owe this to our African American brothers and sisters. We owe this to our community. Let us remember their names every day. Let's focus on the names of the victims rather than the killers. Let us focus on all the victims of racism and police brutality. Allow us to flip it. We are the power of America. We are the voice of America. Let us bring justice to the acts of injustice that happen here. Because the hell that we are living in right now, that's not us. I am not Black, but I see you. I am not Black, but I hear you. I am not Black, but I mourn with you. Because Black lives matter.
That was amazing, y'all. That was given by Parsippany High School student. Amazing. Our next speaker up. Is a great lady who I had the pleasure of meeting about 2 days ago. She brings a lot of energy. She's a part of Black Lives Matter movement. Give it up for Tiana.
How you doing, Frank?
All right. Can y'all hear me in the back?
Yes, Deanna, we can hear you.
Y'all good? All right. I just want to take a second to just thank the organizers for having this. When it came my way, and I was like, okay, I mean, that sounds all right. I can get with this. So y'all did an amazing job, and I want you guys to eat this moment up. Eat it up, because I did in 2016. I ate it up. On Saturday, May 30th, I ate it up. So I'm gonna be quick, for real. I'm gonna be quick. I just want to paint a picture. I want to paint a picture to all of you. To all of you tonight, I just want to paint a picture. All right? Take a second, like 5 seconds, right? Close your eyes. Trust me, I know you're around a bunch of Black people. We good, though. Close your eyes. To put George Floyd's tragic death in perspective, imagine watching someone drown. Think about it. We all watch movies. We all watch TV shows. There are scenes where people may be drowning or being suffocated. Open your eyes, y'all. Open your eyes. I have to be real, y'all, because real talk matters. Our feelings matter. My life matters. imagine witnessing this in person. If we felt it through the screens of social media, long, cringing 10 minutes, imagine witnessing this in person. Imagine the trauma that these people will have to deal with the rest of their lives. Millions of viewers were watching Big Floyd, Teddy Bear Big Floyd, slowly die. Slowly die. Leaving the woman in his life, leaving his family, leaving his 6-year-old daughter without her father. Imagine, put yourself in her shoes. We ask everyone, just for a second, please put yourself in our shoes. My life matters. Imagine the pain he was going through for 10 long minutes. 10 long minutes of suffering. 10 long minutes of him saying, I can't breathe. He was saying for 10 long minutes, I can't breathe. They're going to kill me. Mama. Mama. They are going to kill me. 10 long minutes. My neck hurts. My back hurts. I can't breathe.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Parsippany! Y'all hear me? Do y'all hear me? That's what's up. I want to thank you guys for being here today. I think as an African American man who sees this, as an African American man who sees this, what's happening right here today, it's kind of emotional. I remember when they told me I was going to be speaking, and I remember when they told me I was going to be speaking last. I got really, really nervous. And after a few minutes of thinking about what I was going to say to you guys here today, I realized I wasn't just nervous because there was going to be a lot of people here, and I wasn't just nervous because this is an environment that, might trigger anxiety. As many of you know who know me, I am the biggest show-off in the world. Attention is my thing, right? So I realized the real reason that I was nervous is because as an African-American man who lives in America, I have so many thoughts swirling in my mind that I'm not exactly sure how to get out. I'm not exactly sure how to deal with that pain. I wonder if many of you can understand the psychology of watching someone who looks like you lose their life just because they look like you. I wonder if many of the guys in here who think about, is me being a dad a death sentence for my kid and me? I wonder if you can ask yourself those questions and then make judgments about how that African American man deals with that pain. You see, I grew up here in Parsippany. This is my hometown. A lot of the faces here are people that I know and I grew up with. If you drive 5 miles that way and 5 miles that way down 46, you will see something that you won't actually see everywhere in America. You'll see different places to worship. You'll see different restaurants with different cultures. You'll see different supermarkets where different people of different backgrounds can get their food. And that's wonderful. Truth be told though, guys, we're spoiled because of that. We're spoiled because that's what we're used to. You see, I realized a very frightening thing as I transitioned into my adulthood. There is a huge difference between being a black boy in Parsippany and being a black man in America. You see, there's a huge difference when you're, dancing at school, dances to try to attract all the girls, or you're playing on the football team with your boys and everyone looks like it's just a melting pot of different people. It's a real transition to go from that to being an actual black man in America. And when I think about diversity, I feel like diversity is something that we should actually exploit in this country. Because here's the truth. If I grew up with you here in this town and you're a Latino, Hispanic, yeah, I like you, I love you, but I was probably at your house because you were playing bachata music, I could merengue, I could eat Spanish rice. It is what it is. If you're Middle Eastern and you live in this part of the world, you know that people literally make their decisions based off of your food. Are you going to drive into the city for halal, guys, or not? Yeah, you will. I had a best friend. Well, she's still one of my best friends, but my point is in high school, one of my best friends, she's Indian, and I was at her house one day. And it was time for me to go, and her father had offered to drive me home. And I remember she looked at me and she said, "Dejan, I gotta tell you something." I said, "What?" She said, "Indian parents, they do this thing where if you're in the car with them for too long, they will give you a life advice lecture about everything and you won't be able to escape it." I said, "Nah, I don't think so." I got in that car and I learned more about business administration than I did in my 4 classes that I took in college, and it was incredible. Now, I highlight diversity to say this. It's not enough to live in a non-racist town. It's not enough to be a non-racist. You have to act against racism. You have to speak out against racism. You have to understand that it is an insidious disease that infects our country. I know that a lot of you have issues about who is here and who is not here and who is fighting and who is on the right side of history and who's not. But I found when I was nervous and I was thinking about what I was going to say to you guys, I figured sometimes the real way to reach someone is to just have a conversation. So can I do that with you guys? Yes! Can I have a conversation with you? Yes! I want to tell you guys something. When I was in my sophomore year of college, I took a women's gender studies class. Raise your hand if you've ever taken a class like that. Okay. Now, I was a sophomore in college, and yes, I took the class because there were going to be a lot of girls in the class. And it's funny because I asked one of the girls in that class if I could borrow her notes one day, and she said no. And I was like, why? Why you gotta be all salty about your notes? And she said, you're not here in this class to learn what women go through in America. You're here because it's an easy A. She was right. Because during the time that I was in that class, I was fighting for women's rights. During that time, I was denouncing rape. During that time, I was talking about domestic violence to my guy friends. That was 8 years ago. What action have I taken? How many women in the workplace have I spoken to about their experience? You see, because that's how you have to view racism. It's not just being outraged by it. It's finding where the hell it is and dispelling it. You know, I have a personal philosophy that the frequency of your actions will always determine the result of success in your life. If you're a student, you ask yourself, how often do I study? How often do I show up for class? how often do I pay attention in class? If you're a parent, you ask, how often am I teaching my children about race? How often am I teaching my children the right things? How often am I guiding them and supporting them? If you're a man, you ask, how often am I checking on the women in our society? How often am I making sure that I can live in a world where daughters can feel safe and don't have to worry about what they're wearing when they're at the nightclub? And if you guys think about it, whether it's in your own lives, the best things that you do are for other people, right? Because isn't that why you become teachers? To expel the racism that you see in the education system, to make sure that every child has an opportunity to have a great education and therefore a better chance at success. Because isn't that why we become parents? To teach our kids to tolerate others like we do in this town? Isn't that why we teach our kids to make sure that they're looking out for the other person and to stand up to bullies when they see them? Isn't that why we become football coaches and mentors? So we can teach our young men how to conduct themselves around a woman and not have to worry about what she's doing, but what he can control. You see, I keep asking the question, how often, because again, the frequency of your actions will always determine the success. If you're a white person in this crowd today, you have some real questions that you have to ask yourself moving forward. You have to ask yourself why a cell phone camera has done a better job of telling you what black people go through than black people have, in your opinion. You have to ask yourself why a cell phone camera and social media have done more for you than the system that says it's going to do everything it can for you. And if you ask yourself, how often do I check on my fellow American? How often do I vote with other people in mind? How often do you care about problems that don't exactly affect you?
That's right.
The frequency of your actions will determine the success you see in life. Because if you don't study enough, you're not going to get great grades. If you don't talk to your kids enough, they're not going to learn tolerance. If you don't check men enough, they're not going to treat women better. We can't be afraid to have uncomfortable conversations, because it's uncomfortable things that drive the change we need to be the country we need to be. Again, I want to have a conversation with you, so I want to make this interactive. Can you raise your hand for me if you've ever been on a missions trip from a church, from an organization? Just raise your hand if you've ever been on a missions trip. That's great. How many of you have been back to the same place year after year after year after year after year? I noticed there's a smaller number. You want to know what they say about mission trip psychology? Is that when you pay attention to something for a moment and then you leave it, it does not change the issue. And we have a mission right here in our own country to protect the black lives in this country. You can't care about it for just a moment. You can't care about it just today. You can't care about it for a couple of weeks because it's hot on social media. You have to care about it in your heart if you care about your country. So, I'm almost done here. I just got a couple more things to say. I want to share with you guys. See, this is a conversation, so I want you to know my personal experience. I got a text message on Saturday morning from one of my best friends who happens to be white. And this is what he said to me. He said, you know, Dijon, thinking about you and thinking about what's happening to black people in America, because I know you, it hits home. It really hits home. And at first I was like, well, man, thanks, I appreciate that. But then I thought about it. Why do you have to wait till something hits home for it to matter? Because you see, if it hits home, the only step after that is damage control. When something hits home, it's too late. You shouldn't be here because you're friends with me or friends with Jabari or friends with Maurice or friends with any of the black people here. You should be here because when another person hurts, it should hurt you as much. And so you guys have been preached to. You guys have been spoken to. You guys have been deservedly yelled at. But I'm here to start that conversation. Because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take the conversations to your parents. It's going to take the conversations with your grandparents. It's going to take the difficult conversations with your group of friends that aren't black. It's going to take the difficult decisions that you have to make when no one is looking, when a black person isn't around, when a Muslim person isn't around. How do you behave? How often do you check on your fellow American? Do you make sure that people who need to pray 5 times a day can do so without worrying about the guy who gets a smoke break 7 times a day, but it doesn't matter because it's at the workplace? Do you make sure that when you see a black man getting pulled over on the side of the road, do you think maybe, you know what, as a white person, I can probably make sure this turns out better? Let me stop. Let me make sure everything's okay. Do you check on the woman in the office? Because you know what I find interesting, guys? All the things that we know happen in our society, they take place in the same scenarios. It's the same story over and over again. You turn on the news, you hear black man, white cop, and you don't have to watch, you know how the story ends. You turn on the news, you hear a story about sexual harassment in the workplace against women, and you don't have to watch because you know where it is. So when you're in those places, when you're in the workplace, when you're in the office, when you see that person getting pulled over, when you're near the religious buildings, are you checking on your fellow American? I'm going to say it again, the frequency of your actions, not the intensity. Because you can be here and your need to fight for black lives can be so intense right now. But I need it to be frequent. I don't need it to be strong today, I need it to be frequent. So ask yourself, when you think about your life, does the frequency of your decisions and the frequency of your actions, do they provide good fruits? Can you be proud of those things? Can you answer how often with a better answer? So here's my call to you guys. The real conversation is, what do we do when we leave this park? The real conversation is, what do we do when we go home? How do we change the way that we think about each other and that we interact with each other? Because I'm going to tell you something, guys. Here's the sad, sad truth about racism in America, especially against black people, is that it's not just about the number of racists, it's about the system that allows it to prevail. So the number of people on our side can grow, and that's great because we love to see it and we need it. We need the majority to speak on our behalf in order for it to make a difference. But we have to attack the system. So you guys, you want to know the best way to take care of your fellow American is in the way you vote. Positions like state, DA, positions in your community,
Sheriffs.
that's where we change things. You show your fellow American how you care about them with voting with them in mind, with going to the polls with them in mind, with thinking about your police force with them in mind, with making sure that your community is as equal and as enjoyable for everyone in it as it is for you as a white American. That's what's important. So go home. Have the important conversations. Make frequency more important than intensity. Because you can't fight the same way every single day. You can't feel the same way every single day, but you can try to make it as frequent as possible if you say it's important to you. So let us have those conversations in our town. Let Parsippany be the example. Let us be the spark that changes the world. Let us have conversations about racial sensitivity training with our police force right here in Parsippany. Let us have the real conversations about anti-racist policies and programs in our school curriculum right here in Parsippany. Let's attack the system just as much as we attack the people. Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
I didn't give you guys a long introduction about Dejan, one because he's my best friend, so I didn't want to say anything. But also, because I knew that he would come through and say everything that you needed to hear. Everything that we needed to hear. Everything that the community needs to hear. Everything that every community should hear. So what we're going to do right now to seal this whole thing off is to have a celebration of life with a few dancers, Milton, Julian, and Anaja. They're going to take us out. I appreciate you guys.
Hello, can you hear me?
Speak up, Milton!
Okay, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Milton. I come from Colombia. I have been here in the U.S. for only 1 year. But same as you, and same as you can tell that I'm black. If we go in the street and there's a cop and the situation comes down to that, he won't hesitate over me. What I want to say in this case is that the US, as you all know, is the most influential country in the whole world. And yesterday I went to sleep hopeless after seeing all this violence and all this stuff in social media. But today I woke up and I saw Japanese people. They have nothing to do with this. I saw them walking with the same signs you guys have, protesting for George Floyd. We are inspiring people beyond what we can think of. I saw a picture in Palestine. If you guys don't know Palestine, that whole place is a war zone. And somebody made a graffiti with George Floyd's face. Because they are with us in this struggle. And I like to see all this diversity here. Because that means that we, as a country, because I'm going to become American eventually, but we as a country, we are with us. Because this is not black people against white people. This is not black people against cops. This is racist people against good people. That's what this is. And one little thing that I don't know, I'm sure and I have felt harassed for police officers before, but I want to say that we cannot say all of them are bad. So whoever police officers we have, if you're good, if you are compromised to your duty of protecting the people, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart.